Okay, I'm Andrew Bullard, also known as AJB4. Um, I'm the co-director, writer, and star of the film Ain't God Alright. My character loses his job in the film. We don't see that part of the film, but he loses his job. I have lost my job before. I did draw from some real experiences, making this film. Like, there was times when, didn't have a job, was trying to get back on my feet. Things were rough relationship wise. But I think one of the main things I learned is you got to hang in there, and that God is there at the end of the day. And eventually, he'll show up and show out. So I think that's one of the main things I want to show. Now, with the character Eugene, he's not 100% like, replicate of me. So there's a lot of things in the film that, I don't necessarily identify with, but I wanted to, have fun with the character. But, in the beginning, you'll see him drinking some beer cans and stuff like that. And, you can see some issues that he kind of has, even with his anger too. You'll see that throughout the film as well. But I think as you go through the film, you see him turn into a new person by the end. So that was one of the things I was wanting to show as well. So as far as the album, I kind of got it split into 3 days like I do the actual film. So the first song is In the Club Last Night, and that song just kind of talks about the Eugene character and how he was so upset about everything happening as far as losing his job, getting dumped and everything, that he decides to go to the club to kind of try to forget about his problems. But through it, and by the end of the song, he's being reminded of his problems again because he's getting a call from the collections agency. And then there's a song called No Money, and that song is just straight to the point. A lot of times he just ain't got no money, and it's really rough. Um, and then the song Limitations, one of my favorite songs on the film. It was also JC's one of his favorite songs. But Limitations just kind of talks about how a lot of times the circumstances of life, the things that you have to do on a daily basis to be able to keep on going, sometimes can make you feel like you're not being able to follow your dreams and do what you really want to do. So that's what that song really represents, and why I wanted that song to be playing when he was cleaning the church. Because he probably wish he could be doing something else and focusing on his goals, his music. But at the time, he had to be able to put food on the table, so he was having to work this little job at the church. Then I have two songs that come from the perspective of the Rob character, and one's called Struggling, the other is called Do My Thing. And it's just, one is just kind of like him just kind of flexing and just kind of being like, hey, this is who I am. I don't rock with going to church. This is not, I don't do this. I don't really care about none of this. I feel like it's all a scam. But you can kind of hear some hints of, you can tell that he really does believe that God is real. He just is kind of afraid of opening up to God because of his past. And then with the song Struggling, you can kind of see that he's kind of really wanting to get his life right. But because of, his present day circumstances and having to do things on the streets or what he feels like he has to do, it kind of keeps him from getting closer to God. So those songs definitely are nowhere near from my perspective. But they own the album because they, it's a soundtrack. Then after that, I have some songs that kind of go back to the Eugene character. There's one called Lord, I Need You. And there's also one called Could Be Worse. Could Be Worse is really reflecting the conversation that Eugene has with the pastor in the film. Because the pastor, I feel like the best way to wrap up that whole conversation is it could be worse. Yeah, you lost your job. Yeah, you got dumped. Your lights ain't on. All these things are going on, but you're still breathing. You got people that love you. So you still got something to hold on to. And I think sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that in life, and you just got to remember that, hey, things could be a whole lot worse. But the song Lord, I Need You is, I already had that in mind before we shot the film, but that the little brief montage where you see Eugene in the church and praying and reflecting, and it's when you just get to that point that you just realize that, hey, I need Jesus. That's the only way I'm gonna make it through this thing. And then after that, we kind of go into the songs where you see Eugene back at the crib, and Eyes on Me is just a song just kind of talking about temptation and all the opposition that you deal with in life, and how it feels. Sometimes it can feel like it's all coming down at you at once, but you know that you have a bigger purpose, but you're having to fight against all these different things to be able to be who you really should be. And then there's a couple of songs that are like supposed to be like a late night recording session that Eugene has, where he's making songs and kind of fighting through dealing with the recent breakup with his ex. So there's one song called Block Button, where he's just pretty much saying, hey, it's time for me to get you out of my life, and I'm glad I finally got you out of my life. And I think sometimes it's important to know that, you know, everybody, we need to love everybody, but at the same time, everybody doesn't really need to be close to you at the end of the day. So that's what that song kind of represents. And then after that, after the song Block Button, there's this song Worth It. And this is kind of talking about the relationship itself, and how sometimes somebody can make you feel like you're not really worth it. But you got to know your self-worth at the end of the day, and know that God feels like, you know, you're worth it. So those songs are really just about the ex-girlfriend. And then starting the next day, you got the song Interview. And it's you know, so right on point of what was going on in the film. You see the character kind of getting ready for work. Getting ready to go to the interview. So he's putting on his shirt and tie. And I really want to touch on how, well, I'm talking to my parents and grandparents, you know, they have a certain way that they feel like society thinks, and how they think you should be, and how you should present yourself when you go to an interview. So you gotta say yes ma'am, yes sir, you gotta wear a shirt and tie, you gotta look like this, you gotta sound like this. And sometimes that can be kind of intimidating, because you feel like, well dang, can I be myself? And you know, and all that stuff can be good, but sometimes you can kind of lose who you are. And I feel like that's how it can be sometimes in life. You're thinking about what everybody wants you to be, and how everybody wants you to present yourself, and then you forget who you are. So I feel like I've dealt with this before in life, where I was going on all these interviews, I was trying to sound this way and trying to do this way, and still didn't get the job. So it got to the point where it's like, you know, I'm gonna be respectful and stuff, but I'm just gonna be me. So that's one of the songs that's in the film. After Interview, I believe the next song is Rock With Me. And Rock With Me is the first song that you hear when Eugene goes to the interview location, and he sees the love interest, Tori, played by Bendy. And when he goes in there, you know, he sees the girl and he's blown away. So I already had this in mind before we shot the film too. This was one of the ideas that just came to me. I did the collaboration with my cousin Micah, also known as Mike. But he did a great job on the hook. I wrote it for him, but he just knocked it out of the park. And just kind of, you know, I've made songs sort of like this before, where I call being on cloud nine, like when you see a girl and you don't know nothing about that girl, but you kind of instantly feel like you fall in love, or you automatically start thinking about things as far as like, oh man, I can't wait to take the girl to the movies, and she's gonna be like this and be like that and all that kind of stuff. But this is a little bit different, because it kind of feels like, hey, he feels like this girl was kind of sent by God in a way, because he's going through a rough time. So this girl was just kind of put here at the perfect time to kind of help him through this storm that he is in his life. So that's kind of like what the song is about. And I'm even descriptive in a lot of the details and the lines, kind of talking about, hey, I didn't meet you in the VIP in the club or whatever. I met you when I was barely being able to pay my phone bill. So it's a real song, but it's kind of one of the only love songs, pretty much the only love song on the film. I usually make a lot of songs about girls, but pretty much kept it to one. Even though the next song, Ain't God Alright, also known as Do My Dance, it's like when my character goes home from after the interview and stuff like that, and he's had a long day and stuff, but he's so excited about just getting the girl's phone number, and the interview went pretty well. So he decides to go make a song. Now you don't see this actually happen in the film, because I made this is one of the only songs I made after we shot the film. But another beat by JC that just inspires you at 2 in the morning or whatever. They're like, hey, let's go ahead and get to writing. But yeah, so this is a song, even though I can't really dance, I made a dance song. Guy can do some miraculous work. But yeah, it's one of my favorite songs on the project. It's definitely gonna be a single, or is a single. I don't know when this is gonna come out. But Ain't God Alright, so it's the title track technically. But Do My Dance is one of my favorites for sure. Then the next song I got on there is Real or Fake. It was the first single off of the project. And I think this song is kind of a Eugene talking about the ex, but also kind of just talking about in the film itself. There's a lot of people that kind of come into his life, and a lot of times you're kind of trying to realize who's real and who's fake, or who's somebody that's going to help you on your journey and who's somebody that you really need to try to stay away from. So I think that's something that's important in life. We like to say that a lot. Are you real? Or are you fake? But it's something to kind of really keep in mind is like, are you a real individual? Are you somebody that I can trust? And then last, the song High Five. I thought it was the perfect way to close out the song. I got one of my coworkers, she didn't want to be mentioned, but I'm going to have to do it anyways. Kim Jordan, she did the song for me. She really just did a great job on the hook. But this song is kind of like the celebration of when Eugene finally gets the job, and he's like, he got the girl. You know, everything's kind of like finally, like all the hardships that he had to go through, everything's kind of like paying off. So he's just kind of thanking God, and he's just happy that, hey, you know, he's just kind of on cloud nine, because he's just like, yes, God, he can't. And then also kind of giving the message of sometimes God, you know, he comes through on his times. It's not always on your time, but when he comes, you're going to be happy that he finally came through. So, but yeah, that's what all the songs kind of represented on the album. It was fun putting the album together. I had a lot of help from a lot of people. Chef was definitely one of the main guys that extended a lot of the beats or gave help with the mixing and things like that. I call him Chef. His name is David, but Chef always helps with that. Got help definitely from Jordan. I know he's gonna be happy in heaven playing. He's probably making some new beats in heaven though. He ain't worried about these old beats. He like, I'm making stuff for Jesus, not for real. So I know but he really blessed me with some dope production on this. Berto also helped on the production for the score of the film. But there's so many people that helped on this. I'll be here all day, but I definitely want to thank my cousin Chanel, also known as Brittany, all the way from Hawaii, but she was like the main one throughout the whole process of the film, where I was telling her about everything, and she always gave feedback. Also, my friend Cameron gave a lot of feedback as well. He made the logo for the film. I also made my logo a while back, and my cousins Amber, Stacy, they gave a lot of help as well. My friend Corey gave me help with my lines a little bit, being able to go back and forth. My cousin JJ, well, he played one of the roles too. He played the dope fiend, also / churchgoer at the end, but he also helped with a lot of the behind the scenes stuff as well. All my siblings did. I want to thank everybody that donated to the GoFundMe page. But just everybody, I want to thank God most of all, but just everybody that contributed. I'd be here all day, but mainly want to thank also my dad and my mom. They contributed money-wise, but they let me use the church. Thank you to the members of the Indian Baptist Church for letting me use the church. But can't wait for you to see the film. All right, then I'm out of here. I'm talking too much. A to the J to the B to the 4.